Friendship supreme. Friendship supreme. Finding the geek within.
Hey everybody, my name is Michael.
My name's Cleve.
And welcome to an exciting episode of Friendship.
Preem.
It sounded like he said preem, and I'm now about preem.
Supreme. Supreme.
With the podcast, there's to ask, do you have what I need?
Always.
I guess I said, do you got what I need? My bad.
Just scrap this episode. We'll just move on.
Cleve and I have always been fans of the very talented extraterrestrial human being that is or was Biz Markie. And
Quite a character.
Cleve brought to my attention that there was a autobiopic that was pretty excited to watch. And we're just gonna talk about the life of Biz Markie, and if you don't know who he is, he was a very eccentric human being. He was a rap artist, a beatboxer, a DJ, an MC at one point.
The beginning of comedy rap.
He may have been one of the first. Yeah, one of the first.
Definitely feel good rap. It wasn't songs about killing.
Yeah, he did not do gangster rap. It was very much things like Picking My Boogers and the Biz Dance, and it was
And his most famous Just a Friend.
All the fun side of Digital Underground with none of the political.
Yeah, the guy just wanted to be a guy,
You know what? I think in watching this, I found so many times where my heart was just warm and I felt good about it, and I was like, this is definitely why I still appreciate him as an artist. He, no matter what, it was always just about him just wanting to be a good friend. He just wanted to be someone that people turn to him yeah, I know Biz, and talking about how excited they are about it. He just wanted to love and be loved.
Yeah, there's not one time when they're playing his music that I wasn't enjoying myself watching him be him. And I think he's probably one of the first I'm just gonna act how I want to act. And I'm not going to let anybody tell me otherwise.
He was goofy as shit, and I mean, I think
all the time.
I think
all the time.
I think Just a Friend is a good example of that, where we got to see where just about everybody in the rap scene at the time, who, mind you, he was doing beats for and performing with all these people. He showed him Just a Friend, and all of them were like, "Fuck, that shit's whack as fuck. Please don't get that here." Someone said he threw the fucking cassette out the window. He was like, I don't want anything to do with this.
Yeah, off a balcony. Yeah.
And he's like, you need to just pretend like you never did this. And then
imagine finding that.
I know, right? And then he ends up, this ends up becoming one of it is his biggest song, and becomes a chart topper. This is MTV's now playing it, and it obviously he
pop star.
He's right. He's a pop star instead of being just a rap artist, and it still took it to heart. But he was also there was many times where people would talk about how he was that type of friend that when he did big, he was bringing people with him. And we've talked about that before, how quickly you can forget who you are, where you're from, and the people that were there for you when you get success. And he wasn't that person.
They said multiple times, he would open a door and that door stayed open.
Yeah. I mean,
not like some people who close it behind them and shit.
His wife, he waited for fucking 10 years.
Which is wild.
It's wild.
When who, and you know what so just for everybody, they tell the story where they were never really exclusive, but they were always talking. They bought a house. She furnished and decorated the entire house. And he's like, "Hey, you should marry me." And she's like, "I'm not.
I'm not ready for that.
I'm not ready for that." She was doing big shit. She was in modeling. She was in a bunch of music videos. She was like killing it. And he goes, "Okay, go do what you gotta do, and I'll wait here." And 10 years later, she came to the house, and she was like, "You've not changed anything." He's like, "Well, I was just waiting on you." That's love,
Yeah.
because boy, I mean, not that I'm sure he wasn't also enjoying his life while she was enjoying her life, but I mean, I guess when you know, you know.
Um, I I think it's interesting because I don't know that I ever placed him there. So like one of my favorite songs, and probably the song I heard him from first, was "Let Me Clear My Throat" with DJ Cool. He does a remix with him, and it's the live recording of it. And like
Yeah.
I just don't think like I recognized his impact within the hip hop world as far as like how connected he was with people. Fun fact: the Wu-Tang Clan samples him in "Wu-Tang Ain't Nothing to Fuck With," which blew my mind.
Of course it did.
Because we're about the Wu-Tang here. But just the fact that he's out there singing with rapping with Dougie Fresh, it just I don't know.
I like that. Like, it's funny because people are like, "I don't even remember when I met him. He was just
He just
around
existed.
all of a sudden, and all the time." And the way they talked about him, because okay, so anybody who's not from New York, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your guys' whole area is just confusing to everybody else.
100%.
Long Island, Bronx, Harlem, there's Lower East Side, there's all of them, right? I know I'm missing some, but it doesn't make sense to anybody else besides you guys, and that's fine. Because I heard him say, "I took it from Long Island to New York," and I'm like, "The fuck does that mean?" Because it's all, but you know what? Like, it makes sense to them. It makes no sense to me. But it was just funny hearing everybody talk about how everyone across Long Island knew him, and he was just never really in the fucking same place ever. He was constantly moving,
Yeah.
and every neighborhood in Long Island knew about him and who he was. Did you learn anything new about him from this?
I enjoyed the story specifically of him just inviting himself essentially over to Dougie Fresh's house. I mean, like, I'm gonna come over, okay? And Dougie Fresh is like, I just met this guy, like, I guess.
Yeah, like, hey, that was a good battle. Can I come to your house?
Yeah.
Like,
And like to know
what?
that, because I think in my head, like, I know him best for being a beatboxer. Like, even I make the alien joke because he was in Men in Black 2 for a brief scene, but it's just that is him, right? Like,
It's
that's
a
how
very
goofy he is.
memorable scene. I like that scene affected so many people that he used to run with. Like, that excited them.
Yeah. So he beatboxes in Men in Black 2, and like that's his language, right? And so I think I've always known him as being a beatboxer, and so it was interesting to learn that it wasn't something he naturally knew, and he worked so hard at it. Because there's some people that are just naturally talented at certain stuff. Like something clicks right for you.
Also, his lips are big, like big. And so they were saying that he couldn't necessarily make it sound like everybody else that was doing it could, because they were moving their lips so fast.
Mm-hmm.
So he just had to find his own way that he wanted to run.
Definitely did.
And he nailed it.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it was just interesting to me that he just sat there and stared at his lips and just tried to figure out, like, okay, how are you making that sound? Yeah, I think I can do that. Here's the thing I'm gonna say. I want to say this. I love Biz Markie. I appreciate him. I think that this was cool to get this insight. The puppet was weird as fuck. I fucking hated the whole thing.
I was gonna ask you how you felt about that, because I'm sure that
thing.
You hated it.
I had a whole conversation with Katie about this. Okay, so Biz Markie has a stroke during COVID and is trying to rehabilitate. It doesn't work out. he dies.
I didn't spoiler. Yeah, I didn't realize he was in the hospital for a year. That's a long fucking time.
And and so it's already bad enough because I asked my wife. I said, "How would you feel?" Like, and I said, "Let's premise this with like." I'm a jokester. I that's all I do. I always fucking joke about things. I think it'd be hilarious. Like, knowing that, how would you feel about reenacting scenes of me in the hospital dying and trying to like rehabilitate, but inevitably failing at rehabilitation?
I will say, it wasn't like they went into some really dark moments with it.
No, they didn't.
It was like, hey, squeeze the ball, throw the ball into the other hand. You know, can you squeeze your hand? And it wasn't like him shaking in a bed or anything super graphic.
Agreed. It was just, but like 90% of the time, it was just this Muppet sitting in a hospital bed, and like the wife having to relive these moments and acting them out. I don't know, like that would fucking trigger something in me.
It seemed like her call. Almost.
Maybe it was her idea.
Like, well, and the reason I say that is because who's gonna ask? You get an actress if you're gonna like make that move and not include the, you know what I mean? Like
they did include the like, hey, he's probably
if it's
not
my
gonna
idea
make it
and
scene.
not hers.
Yeah,
I would be like, hey, I'm just gonna get someone to play you. You're gonna wear a mask anyway. Nobody's gonna wear it. It's fine. We're just gonna get someone to play you. We're not gonna make you do this.
It was just uncomfortable and weird.
Maybe she was so. I don't want to say at peace because he was only 57.
Yeah,
he passed.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, the way she spoke sometimes it was almost like everything's okay, which is rare for people when they pass,
and that's
especially being so young.
Right, and that's great. Like, I want her to have that closure and that peace of mind. I don't want to take that away from someone. It just felt almost almost a level of disrespect. And then what I would say, put the real nail in the coffin, and like I would have said, "Nah, I'm good. I'm not gonna participate in this." Was when a man who genuinely seemed like he had real remorse was just it was like weighing on him heavily that he had essentially felt like he did Biz Markie wrong, and it took away from a relationship.
Me and the Biz song.
And it took away from the relationship that they very possibly could have had, like a friendship and a collaboration and a peer, a partnership that they very clearly could have had, and he desired deeply. And they had this man apologize to a Muppet in spoken poetry, rap, whatever you want to call it. It was slow, so I'll say poetry, but I guess not all rap is fast. It felt so heartfelt what he was saying, and then he would look at the Muppet and like maybe it offered him closure, but it felt so like I would have been like, I think I'm not okay with this anymore, and I'd walk away.
I thought you were going to say at the very, very end when the wife was talking to the camera about after he had passed, because like the Muppet was just in the back and like with like the lights off, still laying in the bed.
Yeah,
and I was like that one. I was like, let's go. To me, it was just, he's funny and silly. In fact, the way they told the whole, I almost would have rather had more actual footage.
Yeah.
But I guess when you're talking about his upbringing and stuff, like when would there be? I definitely didn't want any footage from him in the hospital. That is very much not what I think should be shared.
And you wouldn't have been recording it anyway. But yeah, no, understood.
Well, they had like a shot of like his chest down and like his hands. But that it was like one shot and that was it. It immediately went away and it went into like the whole Muppet thing.
It just felt odd for being posthumous, like knowing that they put this out after he died. Like if this had come out before he died and like it was some fucked up shit going on, but he still wanted a Muppet in there for some parts of it. Like let's say it's a in Stanley situation where like he was alive but like he couldn't move because he's old as shit, and like so he wanted to use a Muppet to replace him. Like cool, like I'm on board, but like post death felt odd to be like, here's this Muppet to only act out scenes in which he's dying or his friend is apologizing to him because he gets to say things he never got to say to him in real life.
Maybe it was just to show how things were going in the hospital and how else do you, I mean,
to be respectful.
You get a man to lay in the bed and pretend to be like,
just let her tell the story instead of, you know what I mean? Like, I guess I think because the focus shouldn't be on that, right? Like, especially because it was, I understand it was out of the ordinary and it was quick. Like, well, not quick. I'm sorry. He was in the hospital for a long time, but I like it was out of the blue. Spend less time on that. I don't like. I'm always a big person about celebrating the life, not looking at like the last year. And I think they did a decent job of that for most of the time.
Yeah, I think the hospital part was important because A, he was in there for a whole fucking year of his life.
Yeah.
Right. But then B, what she was saying at the end, which was a bit shocking, but not shocking. Like, you know, hey, once he passed away, people started trying to fucking go and be disrespectful. They started trying to sue him, and you know, maybe I don't know, just to show how hard it was, because she was like, he was never alone. I was always with him. He did not pass alone. He did not pass angry. He passed loved. I don't know. Yeah,
he had
there were
go ahead.
There were parts of it that triggered me too, but then there's like,
I get it, and like it is what
that's why I say it had to come from her. I guess because
and this is what in the end okay. In the end, the conversation I had with Katie, at first she was like, yeah, I wouldn't be on board. She said the only way this would work is if he were to be like, I want you guys to do some fucking puppets. I'm dying. Make a movie. I better have puppets in it.
Maybe it was his fucking puppets. Who knows, that
guy? He collected a lot of things. So the director of the documentary said, I used puppets to get into his life in the hospital. This was around COVID, so a lot of people who really loved him really didn't get to see him in his last days, unfortunately. So I wanted to give a sense of him there and with his wife by his side. This was a concept Markie was fully on board with.
Okay.
According to the director. I guess, like, you know what I mean? Like, don't tell me how to fucking do my own movie. If I want Muppets in my movie, I do fucking Muppets in my movie. It just felt weird and out of place.
Yeah. Does it give you a sense of peace knowing that Margie was like, yeah,
it makes me feel better. It 100% like
yeah. Put it
in. It does track, right? It tracks. Like, again, he would have done some weird shit like this. Because he had a stroke, so he wasn't super verbal at all. I don't think, if at all. I don't know. Because they just had a Muppet kind of nod and stuff.
To me, it's so weird because then it's like, okay, so did I know that I was going?
So,
like, when you brought this up to me?
He could have been brain dead, I suppose. But he was.
Then how was he on board?
They had the Muppet. Yeah, they had the Muppet nodding and stuff. So I'm going to assume he could hear, understand. He just couldn't speak well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they were talking about operating on him and how his voice would be afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, sure, it's his thing.
Well, it was his final wish. We'll move on.
He was he was a big fan of Bruce Lee, so I wonder if like he connected himself being in the hospital to when Bruce Lee had that long period of time where he was in the hospital. I don't know.
Yeah, I did not know he was a collector, and I think it was funny that he just collected fucking
random
junk.
shit.
It wasn't even
just fucking random stuff. I loved it. I loved that. Like, see, that was the stuff. Like, I would love to see more of that. Random notebooks that you came across, and it was just like, here's my thoughts on this and why I came up with this song, or how I came up with this idea, or why I wanted to run it this way. It was just fascinating, man. It was crazy to see how creative he was, how weird he was, and how loyal he was. Because those things kept just coming up.
Can we just also talk about how much talent was in New York within a certain area of time? Like,
that's why. That's why.
It was too much.
That's why that whole feud happened. The West Coast East Coast rap feud happened. Was you had all this stuff going down in L.A. and then at the same time in New York, it was just bubbling up, and like the creation of what hip hop is today is just exploding.
I wrote down that I didn't know that Biz Markie and Tracy Morgan were friends, but that is the most sensible thing that I could ever think of. Like, of course these two are friends, right? So like, obviously these two are friends.
I don't know
before they were famous. Obviously these two were friends.
I don't know a lot about Tracy Morgan, right? I just don't. I did find it extremely fascinating that he's like, yeah, I stole stuff from Biz Markie and he stole stuff from me. That's just how it works.
Yeah, that's how we work.
Yeah.
I also enjoy that. It's not a Tracy Morgan documentary, but he was like, yeah, I was selling crack at the time. Because it's like,
he sure as fuck was. He was like, that's what it was.
That's just how he is. It's like, well, what are you going to do now? Like,
yeah, man, he was super influential within in the rap game, in the hip hop, and when things were coming up, he was, he essentially was working with Mr. Magic on the radio all the time, which is, I mean, that's the breeding ground of what anybody knows as hip hop now.
And the way he connected everybody. I couldn't tell, was that story on purpose where he had was it Kane writing for him, and then bringing the lyrics over, but just wasn't showing up?
It had to be, right?
I don't know if that's on purpose.
That's fair, because he's also kind of flaky. Like, he's just a weird guy. Like, he's here and he's there. He's wherever he's where he wants to be. He is the most like on the whim kind of person. If he sat there
on time to him,
yeah,
always,
yeah. He's walking down the street and suddenly he's like, oh, like I can't remember her name right now, but when she's like, he used to ask me all the time, just drop him off at a record store. She's like, it's 3 a.m. He goes, yeah, and I'll be the first one there.
Yep, I'll get my hands on it. I also like that, like, I guess he was coming out of a store with somebody one time, and some kid was like trying to battle him, and he just stayed in the street and beatboxed against this kid back and forth, like, not just a quick one, and then I'm in my limo, like,
he gave
a full-on battle.
I think that was the most telling thing in the entire documentary was Rakim. Rakim said, I hated him because he loved hip hop more than anybody else, like in a way that nobody else could. And I think that's true. I think that he wanted it. He wanted to be it. He wanted to encompass everything that was hip hop for him and have everybody else be a part of it and enjoy it and have fun with it.
Also, like he said, I made a bunch of friends so that way when I had an album, they would all buy it.
Man, it's wild. It was a really good documentary. It's about 2 hours long. It's definitely worth it.
Yeah. Will Smith and the Devil both appeared in the documentary. That was interesting when he was in his DJ phase.
Yeah, Jada Pinkett Smith. Yeah, the Devil. I'm like, the Devil. I'm just like trying to play it back. Yeah, I mean,
how'd you feel about I know you were upset about the puppet, but how'd you feel when we were in that first fucking scene and TMZ's calling, talking about, hey, he's dead? He's dead, right?
But that's, how real is that though? That's fucking spot on for piece of shit TMZ. Like, let's be honest, guys. They were in Matthew Perry's goddamn fucking bathtub or his hot tub trying to figure out if he was on some kind of drugs before the ambulance was there. That's how they roll. They don't fuck around. TMZ sucks. I fucking hate tabloid shit like that.
Like, I mean, I understand you got to get that first scoop, right? Because that's how news works. But like, is there not a point where it's like, hey, let me make sure that friends and family don't find out on TMZ and they can have time to be notified? I had no idea he made a song for Yo Gabba Gabba, but apparently he was on there.
His whole that whole scene was fantastic, and again, just him. Look for shit? Yeah.
Yeah, watching those men cry about him really hurt me. Like, it was a lot, and obviously, I would now like to live on Biz Markie way, if I could. Ideally. What's your address? 123 Biz Markie way.
Here's one. Oh, you know what? You asked me. You said, "Did I learn anything new in this documentary?" And all I can say was something I thought was interesting, and I did absolutely learn something new. I don't ever remember Mario fucking making that song.
You don't?
No. Yeah. I don't remember that song. We're sitting there. I'm watching this, and he starts singing it, and I'm like, "That's Mario." What? And so I went and looked it up. I fucking hated that song.
I'll do you one better. Jennifer was like,
maybe it's because I'm old.
Didn't he write that song for Mario? And I was like, well, he had his song, remember? And she's like, oh yeah, that's right. But like, that was her first. When she heard that vocal, that was her first connection.
I was just so.
Yeah, that was.
I didn't.
Freshman year of high school, 2002.
Yeah,
it's big song.
Yeah, I did. I genuinely missed it, and I'm just like, I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about it. I guess I just and maybe again because I'm not in the mindset I was in 2002. I fucking hated it. I forced myself to listen to the whole fucking thing.
Oh, you're gonna be old man now, though.
And it's
even harder for you to enjoy it.
I just hated it so much.
You're like, it's not like the original.
It's not even what it. That's not even it. No, because like I like cover music. I'm just like, this is not a. That was my new thing I learned, and I hated every second of it.
Yeah, I get that. Two stories I thought was funny. One was how he met his wife, which is just yelling on stage, "Hey, what's your number?"
And remembering it for 3 days.
Yelling her phone number, and him just calling her Monday and being like, "Yeah, I remembered it. You think I was gonna remember it, did you?"
You remember that fucking number for 3 days. I can't remember.
Sure you go write it down.
I can't remember my own number. That's fair.
I was just there immediately like, hold on, let me give you a pin. Don't talk to me. Also, the story of that guy when he was like in high school and Biz Markie would like come in and start beating on the fucking the lunch tables and rapping and shit, and he was like, and nobody kicked him out, and he didn't go to school here. Just rolling up to the schools and how everyone thought that was his song, the Lottie Dottie.
Oh, because he told the fucking principal, he's like, yeah, no, I'm coming out of the song, and then told the whole crowd, he's like, yeah, no, this is my song. The guy was like, he just lied his way to the top. It's fine.
The guy was like, he was a bit of a liar. He was like, well, we'll say he exaggerated things. And it was like, nobody believed anything he said. Because it was like, oh, I just got this from the store. Like, oh, yeah, I just went yesterday and got one. Like, oh, yeah? All right, Liz, whatever you say. There was the part where they were like in some restaurant. He's like, "Who ships these?" He just like grabbed them off the table. He was just a big goofball, man.
Yeah,
and enjoyed life and enjoyed kids. And
I loved
people.
fucking Nick Cannon being like, you know where I learned how to be a smooth guy? Biz.
How many lives is Biz Markie responsible for? How many kids does Nick Cannon have? 12?
It's insane.
Maybe you taught the wrong person. I like that.
You gave too much power to Nick.
Nick Cannon was carrying like his crates and shit, and then like Nick's like on 2 different shows and brings him in with him. Did you see Will with the fucking cornrow braids?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, ugh, that was not a good look for you, Will. I hated it. Also, fuck Lenny, who said he got permission for that music and didn't.
Yeah.
Also, I felt a bit of myself when Biz was like, he was like, yeah, I said with the music, whatever. Like, what are you gonna do about it? And then they sued him. Like, we were all sampling, and we were just kind of doing it and not asking permission. Biz asked for permission and then did it anyway, and that's why he got in so much more trouble.
Yeah, he sure did. Ended up, I think the suit got dropped against him though, right? Eventually, he went his way.
It affected Warner Brothers more than him.
Yeah.
I also like that he had a cassette of the guy who wouldn't let him use his music. He fucking drew a voice bubble. Like, oh, I hate hip hop or some shit like that. Just throw that in the middle of the collection with the rest of the stuff.
He was just a cool dude, man. He's just a funny dude that loved what he did and did it well. I mean, he did it well enough that he ended up, making changes in a lot of people's lives and impacting a lot.
I think that if you asked 100 people to name a fresh song, they couldn't. And if you asked 100 people to name a Biz Markie song, or I guess if you played one song,
yeah,
they would all know. They would all. I like the story where he goes on stage and they cut the music and he goes, "You," and it just doesn't say anything else, and the crowd takes over. And he said that fool looked at me and goes, "I told you, Bernard. I told you."
I loved how Bernard fucking every time. I love how that motherfucker made Biz sound. Because I just imagine that is genuinely, because he's like, "I told you, Bernard," and I just imagine that is absolutely how that came out.
100% with no like shade thrown whatsoever. No. Like that's exactly how he would have drawn that out when he was speaking.
Oh my God, he's just
my favorite Big Bucks for sure.
Yeah. Did you learn anything new? I didn't ask that question back to you. Sorry.
The collector thing. I think I had no real idea that he was like a hoarder, basically.
A collector with fine things. Like Charlie's Angels dolls.
Even that's a little bit question. You know what? I like that he had one tailor and one jeweler.
Yeah.
Jeweler.
He went to
he just rocked with them. I loved that so much.
And Dapper Dan ends up becoming like a huge staple as well within the hip hop community.
And he was like, I just made clothes that looked nice for him. Like it wasn't like I did something crazy. Like smaller people get to wear this. He should get to wear this. I made that for him.
Yeah.
And I like that the fucking jeweler has his picture in his office.
Yeah.
And he's like, sometimes I just look at it and smile.
The first thing he bought is a rope chain, and then good to his wife just fucking holding all these different gold chains. She's like, yeah, I don't know. This cost a lot.
That was really cool. That's someone who, especially local too, right? You find somewhere that treats you nice, and they just take. It just goes like what we were saying about bringing people with them.
Yeah.
I mean,
loyal to the end.
I mean, that jeweler maybe didn't need him, right? But I mean, Dan, who said that they would just sit out in front of the store and just talk.
Yep.
He said, I would say when I think of loyal customers, he is top 3. That's pretty fucking good.
Yeah, I know who's in the other top. Who else is on there? But anyway.
So bad.
As far as documentaries go, it was decent enough. As far as like the the platform and the way that they did it.
It felt a little
jumpy.
Yeah, not linear of a story.
Yeah.
Not even including like him coming up and him passing, but just kind of in general, like we felt like we were piecing shit together.
It was a little bit of jumping around, but I think it was really well done. Covered his life, the Muppets.
Like
I have
that
to get
era
over.
of rap. It's a perfect one.
There's the history of hip hop or history of rap that was on Netflix. I think I watched that whole series and it was really good.
Yeah.
If you like that type of stuff, I mean, again, if you don't know who Biz Markie is and you like hip hop music, you should really. If you don't know anything outside of Just a Friend, you should dive into some of the stuff that he's done and just look at the talent and the things he's contributed.
If you're a fan of 2002 Mario's Just a Friend,
comment down below.
Know where it came from,
Comment down below and let me know what it is you love about that song.
Did you enjoy him fucking dancing and shit?
I enjoy him in everything he does. His stupid Biz Markie dance, damn it. Every time.
And it's just big Gus goof. You know what else I respect? Fucking like it's gonna sound mean. There's no work towards the teeth whatsoever.
No.
Whatever.
No, he was him. Unapologetically him. And I love people like that. I don't give a fuck. You want to, you don't like the way I look. You don't like the way I sound. You don't like something about me. I don't care. I'm going to keep doing it.
I know we're wrapping up, but you know what's wild is how many people were like, I didn't think I could do it. And he was telling me that I like Fat Joe. He was like, I grew up as a poor kid too. And he was just like, hey man, you got it.
He owned a vinyl shop. I don't know that I knew that. That's where Fat Joe started, was in a record store.
Mm-mm.
And then
working cashier,
where Biz just comes in and is selling things for fun. Like that was just him, right? To show up in your shop and be like, I'm gonna hang out.
I'm an associate today.
He was sitting there signing shit and just handing it to people. Like, all right, bye.
He's definitely one of those people that you feel like was never tired of meeting a fan ever.
Yeah, for sure.
Not like these people now. They're like, you got $200? I'll sign it.
Stars suck now. Anyway, they
don't love it. They don't love it like you did.
No, that's what I'm saying. I don't think anybody loved it like he did, and it's I think it speaks to his craft, right?
He had so many pictures with people. I understand, he got famous, but when he wasn't famous, he had so many pictures with people.
I used to think all the time.
Everyone just loved the guy.
I used to think all the time, right? I had an uncle that I didn't care for much. He was kind of a drug addict, but I learned how to shave from him because Bad Dad Club. What? And he used to teach me how to do mechanical things on cars and shit. But I always used to think it was the coolest thing in the world. He knew Too Short, and in California, Too Short's fucking huge, right? He was big to us, and he had pictures of him hanging out with Too Short. I was like, who else in the world just grew up with people like this? And to your point, it's just great to see. Again, going back to just how many lives he touched. In the weirdest ways possible. Sometimes he just surfed on your couch. Sometimes he was like, hey, I'd like to come stare at your mouth while you fucking rap. It's just the weirdest shit. But
the version was now he's just at my house all the time. Every day now he's just at my house.
And he just was goofy and fun, and I think the world needs more of it.
What we should all aspire to be.
Yeah, the world needs more of that shit. I don't know. Like I said, if you have not ever heard any of his other stuff, definitely check him out. If you have Hulu, I think this is not an ad for Hulu because honestly, fuck them. But if you have it, it's there, or you can just buy it for $10.
I thought it was Showtime.
That is what it was. Showtime. My bad. You can get the Showtime subscription through Hulu or Prime Video or Paramount Plus or a bunch of other things. Fuck all of them. Streaming services are dicks. But anyway.
Hey, they signed the deal.
But if you guys have any comments about the wonderful and late Biz Markie, drop them down in the comments down below. If you guys want to hear about more hip hop, let me know. we enjoy that.
We'll shift the whole podcast.
If you have other topics you'd like to hear about, go and drop them down below. If you want to find us out there in the world, we're on social media, all under what title, Cleve? Where can they find us?
Friendship Supreme on Facebook, Instagram, and X.
Twitter. We're rebellious. We're gonna call it Twitter. Fuck Elon Musk too. Fine. I'm just I don't like anybody anymore, guys.
I get it.
Hopefully you guys had a good evening. I know I did. I've been Michael.
This is Cleve. And
give me your best beatbox.
Give me your. You know what? Give me your best.
It's bad.
But just cover your mouth and then just plug one in. It's fine.
I remember I remember after seeing the Men in Black 2 scene, I definitely went home with my brother and tried to reenact it. And it basically sounded like this. Boom, boom, and I thought I was fucking nailing it.
You know what's so funny is like I feel like Will Smith's is way easier than Biz is.
Oh yeah.
His is so much slower.
It's his like weird fucking Jabba the Hutt laugh as he's and I'm like, oh man, how can I make that?
Yeah.
How do I make that noise? Anyways.